family. How are y'all? Hope everybody is doing well. Got some boots on the ground, biometric tech stuff I want to talk to you about. So last week I was working out of town in the District of Columbia and had to fly in. So, all airports are not the same. And I live in a place where I fly out of a fairly small airport. And while they are doing a lot of upgrades, they're not one of these chosen airports that have a high volume of traffic, where they can introduce this, biometric technology or the digitalization stuff that they're getting ready to use on us. And so I didn't have any issues when I left the airport. I left, South Carolina, got to DC. But coming back home, I was in for a rude awakening. So I don't know if you remember, maybe last year sometime. It's probably last year, but it could have been earlier this year when I went to DC and I was telling you about the upgrades with the technology and where you could choose to use your biometric data um, to scan in addition to your ID. They were doing something kind of like clear. Well, this time when I went, um, they were using the like an iPad screen, but it was thicker than an iPad screen. It was the monitor that they used for pictures were it was about the size of a big tablet. And they also checked your ID digitally. You did not have to use your boarding pass. They used your passport, your state identification, or biometric data, unless you, I guess, had identification from a state that didn't have the little barcode in the back that wasn't a real ID. So I didn't even have to give the person my ID. I just put it in the machine. It scanned it, spit it back out, and I had to stand in front of the screen. And it took a picture of my face. And the person, TSA person behind the shield, the little protective glass, looked at it, looked at me, and then the computer would tell it was okay for it to let me go. So I had to stand there and wait for a minute because my hair color has changed. I'm probably heavier than I was before. But anyway, I guess it has a bunch of photos because you can't see what's going on behind the counter when in front of the TSA screen. So you just have to stand there and wait until he says it's okay or until the computer says it's okay. It does tell you to get your identification. But there was what I found interesting was they in small letters it told you that if you wanted to opt out of the biometric tech, you could. But if you did it, you could also ask them to delete your info. So I, after I got done with the process, I said, I would like my information deleted. And it was a brother. He just kind of chuckled and he was like, yeah, they delete everybody's stuff. And I was like, this is so stupid. They ain't deleting shit. This stuff is on a server. So even if they say they delete it, it's going someplace else. It's the government. It's not being deleted. It's being stored someplace for a later date. So I just found that very interesting that, now you have to stand in front of a screen. That is better than giving them a piece of paper with our boarding passes. So that was wild. But when I got to my gate, I also saw, and I was flying on Delta, So I also saw the same screen at the gate. So when you get ready to board the airplane soon, you will need to stand in front of the computer screen or the tablet screen in order to verify who you are. And I was like, what kind of freaking movie are we in? How is any of this better? How is it safer? How is it cheaper? Like, none of it makes any sense to me. If you just use your good old fashioned common sense, it does not make any sense at all. I'm just undone. But I want to talk about it because I can see how travel is going to be impeded, because as soon as this becomes mandatory, when you refuse, you won't be able to fly. You won't be able to travel. You won't be able to buy airplane tickets, because I'm sure in order to buy a ticket, you're going to have digital stuff. You're going to have to stand in front of the biometric machine. Like, it is just, it's crazy. Now, if I got scanned coming through the airport, like, who's lying and stealing identity to get on an airplane? Like, what was wrong with our car IDs and our passports? What's wrong with the little strip in the back? Like, I just pray every weapon that they create to enslave us fails, because I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, I want to share with you the biometrics technology that they are operating at the airports, select airports, not all airports, but it's coming to all airports. And it's not just going to be at airports. This is going to be everywhere. If you want to travel, you'll have to do this. If you want to buy stuff, you're going to have to do this. If you want to go to the store and buy in a store, you're going to have to do this. This is going to be the wave of the future really soon. And if you refuse as a business owner, you're going to be locked out of the no buy, no sell system. So this is how they're going to force everybody to do this. If you want to go to the banks, we've already been doing it with the ATMs, because when you go to the ATMs, they have cameras. So they've been storing our data, our pictures, our faces for a long time, and we just really either didn't pay attention or didn't care. But now we're at the point where these things have taken so much information from us, and the powers have, you know, created these systems to gradually collect all this data about us. And so we're not going to be able to move freely. If you are going to live in this world, it's going to be very painful, especially if you've ever been free. If you know what it's like to move freely somewhat, to travel freely, to move about and not have to worry about your privacy being invaded, those days are over. If you don't know what that's like, like a lot of our children will probably never know what that is like, because they were born after Columbine and 9/11. So my kids were not, but if you have younger children or you have grandchildren, they will never know a time without surveillance, because they've always had phones and tablets and computers and cameras in the school, and having to go through and get checked like they're at prison. Cameras are everywhere, and it doesn't bother them. For those of us who have lived an existence, and you could go someplace and live your whole life and hide and people not know who you are, those days are over. And it was just very interesting to watch how people went along with the biometric testing at the airport. And what was also funny to me is that when I asked to have my stuff removed, everybody looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, "What's wrong with her? Why she want her stuff?" removed. Even the TSA guy, he was like, "Oh, we don't save it. We just, um, young and goofy dude, not too young, but I would say definitely not awakened. Maybe in his 30s, mid 30s, but it was just very disappointing to see how many people just go along with this stuff. Just, I want to go where I need to go. I got to do what I got to do. Now, the only reason that I did this experiment is because I used to live in Fort Lauderdale. So I've gone through the Miami and Fort Lauderdale airports, and my biometric data is already in the system. So it doesn't matter um, if I go to another airport and do it again. I've been flying in and out of that airport for years, and I've flown in and out of the country. And then down there, they have a biometric passport system. So when you come back into the country, you put your passport on a little machine. You have to stand and look. The camera takes a picture of you, asks you questions, you verify, it clears you, and you leave and you go stand in another line to get out of the airport because you still have to go through customs. But point being, when you're leaving out of the country from down there, they already had the biometric system, and this was before I was awakened, so I didn't realize. I knew that the technology was not good, and I didn't want to, um, really deal with it. But I also understood this is where everything is going, and I don't, it wasn't time to fret yet. But now it's time. It feels like it's time to be concerned because you're not going to be able to move. And so, like, for people who are wanted, if you're, how people can just get on the airplane and fly now. You just buy your ticket, give your ID. There's no checks. Like, they have hundreds of databases that they cross-reference now. So for any little thing that you do, if you're wanted, if they want to punish you, they can stop your movement. Um, they could put a hold on your travel. They can say, no, you can't board. No, you can't fly. No, you can't buy a ticket. That's where we are going. And it's very scary. So I want to read this biometrics technology page from TSA. And this is a government page. It's tsa.gov biometrics technology. So it says TSA is evaluating the use of biometric technologies to enhance security effectiveness, operational efficiency, and the passenger experience while protecting privacy and civil liberties. Whew. TSA exploration of biometric technologies is scientifically driven. Everything is hidden behind science and capitalizes on significant advances in biometric accuracy, speed, and the ability to automate processes to help move passengers through screening more quickly. Now, we'll say this process was not getting people through quicker. Not to me. It was no quicker than the person looking at your ID card, looking at your boarding pass, checking it, giving it back to you, and waving you through. Not faster. Not faster at all. In recent years, TSA has began testing biometrics to identify passengers at the checkpoint, and we continue to evaluate the use of proven and emerging solutions to further understand operational impact, security gains, and the policy implications. Passenger participation in TSA biometric technology test is voluntary. You may notify a TSA officer if you prefer a standard ID check. The links below for additional information on TSA's biometric technology efforts. So if you want to know more about it, I will put a link in the description for you to, or probably put it in the comments. But notice that the TSA CBP, which is the Customs Border Patrol biometric technology pilot for trusted travelers, is going on in Black cities: Detroit, Metropolitan Wayne County Airport, and Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport. They are big, but just notice where they put this stuff at. Um, so it's just very, very interesting um, how they, just kind of do this stuff and they don't tell people about it. So let me share with you facial matching. It says TSA is one-to-one facial matching capabilities by integrating a camera that will take a picture of a passenger and compare the photo to the image on their ID, such as a passport or driver's license, using credential authentication technology, which is called CAT2. This approach does not require a database of pre-staged images because it simply compares an image from the document presented by the passenger against an image taken of the passenger at the checkpoint. Now, why do you need a person to do this job? So eventually, what's going to happen is we're not going to have TSA staff. The people are going to be out of a job, and this technology is going to be the TSA security. So, digital identity. So, it says in recognition of increased use of digital identity documents, TSA is evaluating the potential impact on aviation security and operations. TSA is upgrading CAT machines with biometric digital identity, and self service capabilities in response to COVID 19 and the growing availability of robust identity solutions in the market. So this was the whole whole plan of the cough all along. So they can roll out all these different things while you're asleep, while you're not looking, while you're not traveling because you're locked down, you're quarantined. So I just talked about the fact that these people who have jobs today won't have jobs soon. And they just said it. They talked about self-service capabilities. Why else would you need self-service, self-checkout, because they don't want to pay people. The government is going to this system where all these databases are going to be pulling information, digital information that they've already had stored from social media, from you know uh, your digital identification, in any place they can get information on you. But why? Like, what's better than having a person look at you and be like, "Hey, your picture don't look the same." Like in the history of ever, has anything ever happened with identity since 9/11? No. Never heard anybody using a fake ID to get through. Not saying that it hasn't happened, not saying that people's identities haven't been confused, but just think about it. What's the point? Like, there's no demand for it. There's no need for this advanced technology except for to enslave all of us globally. And this is a way to do it. So let me read the one in facial identification. TSA is also testing one to few facial identification capabilities by using the traveler verification service to compare a passenger's live image to a database of pre-enrolled reference photos. The solution is currently being developed from the TSA PreCheck application program and CBP Global Entry Program, trusted traveler populations. You can find additional information on this service on CBP's biometrics webpage. The solution will be integrated with CAT2 and TSA PreCheck lanes. So this is very interesting to see how they got something for everybody. But they talk about the trusted traveler. It's really the stupid traveler because we all are getting so BS because we like comfort. We want ease. We want to move fast. We don't like to be uncomfortable. We don't want to be inconvenienced. And so what you're going to see is all of these little pilots that they've done. They've got the critical mass, the buy-in, no pushback, no questions. So they can go ahead and roll it out. And then they're going to, because, they've been doing it already anyway. By the time people figure out what in the heck is going on, it's going to be too late. And then it's going to be a problem. So, um, you know, if you can travel now, travel, honey. If you can travel and get through TSA without going through this stuff, do so. Know that these programs are voluntary, so you don't have to opt into them. You don't have to go through them. Just make certain that you have your preferred method of identification, and don't forget to ask. If they tell you that it's not voluntary, then you know that they are lying. It's on the website. Lastly, people are going to look at you like you're crazy when you ask for the other method. Even the TSA people are going to be like, why you want to do that? Like you're inconveniencing them. So just be prepared for stupid stares. So I'm going to read this last thing to you, and I'm going to end this video. But it's very interesting because it starts off with the airport that I'm telling you about. So it says, in August 2020, the year of the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, which is DCA, TSA demonstrated Cat 2 based on further analysis of the DCA pilot program. TSA conducted formal field tests with volunteer passengers at DCA, Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, Indianapolis International Airport, and Miami International Airport to identify, evaluate, and mitigate system performance issues across diverse operational environments and passenger demographics. In 2022, TSA started conducting additional pilots to evaluate Cat 2 performance. During the test, TSA will verify a live image captured to the image on the credential, which will be a passport or driver's license. The device enables passengers to scan their own identity documents for authentication and biometric identity matching, reducing unnecessary contact between TSA officers and passengers. So they try to make it this. They say they're putting this in place because of COVID. So it says it also includes a plexiglass shield to further minimize contact between TSA officers and passengers. Like, who was complaining about them anyway? The only ones I ever complained about was the ones that had to fill you up. But other than that, like, it just is so ridiculous. All of it is just ridiculous. But again, it just goes to show you, this is what all this other stuff was for. This is what COVID was for. This is what this biotech is for. It is to do surveillance on you and to control your movements. So you are no longer going to be free. Passengers may choose not to have a photo taken by the camera at the checkpoint and may instead notify a TSA officer if they prefer a standard ID check. So the digital identity. TSA began deploying Cat 2 units in early 2022 to support the phased rollout of state-issued mobile driver's licenses, mobile identification cards, and other types of digital IDs. So you see this, right? The transportation people, in concert with the DMVs in your states, are preparing to control your movements. During the initial stages of the rollout, TSA is only accepting these IDs from TSA pre-check passengers for testing and evaluation. TSA plans to expand this effort and will release information about additional airports, states, devices, and partners. Passengers without TSA pre-check may be able to use state-issued mobile driver's licenses and mobile identification cards at a future date. Additional information on digital identity can be found here. I'm not going to click on it, but I recommend that you click on it because you need to know what is going to impact you here in Babylon. Facial identification. In March 2021, during the cough cough at DTW, TSA, and CBP, in cooperation with Delta Airlines, began a pilot for trusted travelers, TSA PreCheck, and CBP Global Entry members. This pilot tests the use of CBP traveler verification systems to verify a passenger's identity at the TSA checkpoint. The technology compares a photo of the passenger taken at the checkpoint to a pre-staged gallery of photos previously provided to the government for travel purposes, like your passport photo. But I don't even know what that means. So it said photos previously provided to the government, but it doesn't say who provided them. In November 2021, the pilot was expanded to support the baggage drop touch point at ATL, and in May 2022, the pilot launched at the ATL checkpoint. During the Delta Airlines mobile app check-in process, notice they get you with these apps. That's why they want you to use the app. Use the app. If you download the app, it'll notify you when the plane is late, and it'll tell you when the gate changed. To get the app, you can check in on the app. I want the app to police you. Eligible passengers will be notified of their ability to participate in the pilot and can opt in consent to participate. Passengers who choose to participate will have a consent indicator on their mobile boarding pass. Passengers who do not opt in and do not have consent indicator on their mobile boarding pass will not be able to participate at this time. Who in the hell is signing up for this stuff? That's what I want to know. What dummy heads doing it? A lot of them apparently, because plans are moving right along on schedule. So anyway, I just wanted to share this with y'all because there's a whole lot in this. I don't really want to go into it, especially not on YouTube. But y'all can read between the lines. Take your time and go through this stuff, and then think about all the other things that we've talked about on this channel over the last couple of years, and just be aware that when you go into a lot of these places and we're being recorded, all that information is being collected and stored someplace. And we have no idea where the government is getting all their photos from. But it's a very scary time because we're relying on technology and not human beings in front of us to identify us. And, for African American Black people, we already know that AI gonna be racist because the people who made the AI are racist. So it's just one more thing that we got to worry about, especially if you're not taking the mark or taking the tool used to implement the no buy, no sell to the next level. So again, it's a decision that we're all going to have to make. These are just some of the things that, we're going to have to consider as the noose tightens around our neck. And it's getting to a point where it's like unavoidable now. So if you have family out of town, how are you going to see them? If you live away from family, how are you going to get to them? If you want to go on vacation, how are you going to do it? It's a lot of things there are a lot of things that we're not going to be able to do soon. And so I want to talk about this because I want to give y'all something to think about. If you're living in Babylon, your freedom is about to end. Your free movements are about to, be no more. And it just seems there are more people who don't care and who will just go along to have the creature comforts than there are people who are willing to fight back. And so You can anticipate this stuff is coming. How successful it will be, I don't know. How compliant people will be, how long people will be compliant, I don't know. What I do know is since before 9/11, people have been very lackadaisical and um, unwilling to fight for anything. And I anticipate they won't fight until food ends, till TV goes off, the bread and circus shows end. There are no more sports. There's no more money. You can't get money out of the ATM. You can't go to the grocery store and buy nothing. Your children are hungry. You're hot. Mosquitoes biting you. Critters coming in your house. You got people coming in your house trying to take what little bit you got. I don't think people are going to realize what happens or how bad things are until those times come. Um, there's a correction coming, but I don't think it's coming from us. I think it's going to have to come from the Most High. So keep praying, keep prepping, keep seeking the face of the Most High, asking Him to deliver us and to keep us safe while we are here, because we are in danger everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Our food, our clothing. You can't put on clothes. You got to read your clothes carefully because it's got all kind of chemicals and stuff in there that we're not supposed to have on our bodies. Um, just everything is bad. The technology is bad. The air is bad. The water is bad. What we listen to is bad. So we just in a bad way. It's very hard to stay positive, but y'all do a very good job of um, keeping your spirits high. And I'm trying to, but I'm getting very tired. I have these moments where I'm okay, and then I go down, and I feel like I'm getting ready to hit one of those down periods because I keep trying to wake up men, and there are not many men who are awakened. I talked to one Sunday. I was so happy. He and his girlfriend. But there's so many men who, and this guy, he was in the military. Um, so I'm always happy when somebody in the military gets it and is preparing, is watching and preparing. But there are so many brothers who are not, and they just are doing the same old thing, drinking, smoking, joking, running women, thinking about sex, not trying to settle down and protect the family and be the head of the community and understand the times that we're living in. I mean, I can see that something in these people are understanding that we're Israel because everybody's starting to look different. The men are growing beards and just things are happening. So you can see everybody got a beard now. A whole bunch of wise silver brothers walking around with the gray, looking all good and wise and but they sleep. They're asleep. They don't know nothing, and you can't talk to them. You try to tell them stuff. They're all I don't want to know about that. I don't want to hear nothing about the doom and gloom or that stuff is scary. Well, I'm gonna just die then. Oh, okay. These men have children. They have girlfriends. They're scared. They're just talking about they're gonna die. They got daughters. They're gonna die. Dad is gonna be dying because they don't want to hear no bad news. I don't know what's wrong with our people, but it's gonna be really sad to watch so many people perish because they don't want to hear bad news, because they don't want to hear anything that's not good, and because they don't want to prepare. So y'all keep prepping, keep praying, keep seeking the Most High, obey those laws, statutes, and commandments. Learn those laws, statutes, and commandments. Stay in your word because that is going to be that's our armor. That's how we protect our minds. That's how we build up our spirits, our spiritual walk. And that is what keeps our spirits connected to the Most High. Um, because we cannot believe what we see now. We can't believe what we hear. We got to have a different source. And we got to have a source that's speaking to us in a language that nobody else can hear. So, with that said, y'all, be careful out here when you're traveling in these here airports. Understand there are some things being done and you can opt out of them. That's what I want to um, say. You can opt out now. You ain't going to always be able to opt out, but for now, you can opt out. All right, this is Marta K. Love y'all, and I'm out.